This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.
Imagine being with someone in a romantic relationship for almost 2 decades and finding out that that person isn't really even in love with you. You know, that is the situation of a woman that I know. And I'm going to try to keep this vague because she doesn't know that she's in this situation. And I don't want to say how it is that I know her. But this particular woman has been in a relationship with her partner for almost 20 years now. They're at around the 17, 18-year mark. And they have never gotten married. They are what in the United States would be considered common law marriage. You know, they've lived together for so long that some people would say they are good as married. Now, it is my personal opinion that there's no such thing as good as married. You are married or you're not. And I don't believe in common law because even legally in the United States, not every state recognizes common law marriage. And you can find yourself in situations where you've been with a person for years and years and years, decades even, and this person, say, unfortunately passes away, and you have spent all this time building with them, but because things are in his name, and because you don't have the marriage certificate, you end up with nothing. I know multiple women who have ended up in that situation. I never understood why people say marriage is just a piece of paper, because that piece of paper grants you access to be someone's power of attorney. That piece of paper grants you hospital visitation rights. That piece of paper benefits you in financial ways, such as, for example, Social Security and things like that, that not having that piece of paper, you don't get those benefits. But back to this couple that I know. And also, I want to say, before I get back to the couple, people who say that marriage is just a piece of paper, your birth certificate is a piece of paper, your driver's license is a piece of paper, your degree is a piece of paper. If you own a business like me and you have an LLC, that those papers to confirm that you have an LLC are pieces of paper, right? But back to this couple. So this couple that I know the man better than I know the woman. So because of that fact, I know for a fact that he settled to be with her. And not only did he settle for being with her, she is not his dream girl, but they have been together, again, nearly 20 years. They have several kids together. And yet and still, even at his big age, on the weekends, he tells her that he is working and he goes out and he parties and has a good time. And he goes out because he is still, after all these years, looking for his dream woman. And when he goes out and he does not meet the dream woman, he is actually at a point where he comes home, or actually not home, because, there's a woman there waiting for him. He comes to his friends and cries about the fact that he still has yet to meet the woman of his dreams. And then he goes home to the woman that he settled with. Welcome to Confidently Cherished. My name is Keshia Rice. I am a dating coach and hypnotherapist. I help women free themselves from their unhealthy relationship patterns so that they can heal themselves, heal future generations, and attract healthy, satisfying, cherished relationships. And I wanted to talk to you about being the job girl versus being the dream girl. And I want to preface that by saying this. I have been a dating coach for several years now. This is like year 4 or 5 in my business, year 5. And I know for a fact that people get married for a variety of reasons, right? And that the idea that some people settle into a marriage is not at all uncommon. It just isn't. Like, we like to think that everyone falls in love and is magical and they marry someone and they live happily ever after. It's not always the case. Before I became a dating coach, my dad is a minister. He and my mom counseled other couples from time to time, and I would hear some of those stories. So in a way, I sort of have, a good 20 years or so experience at this between hearing those situations and now my own clients. And I know not everyone marries for love. So the reason why I say this is because as I explain the differences between being a job girl and being a dream girl, if you are listening to me and you're saying, I don't really care about all of that, I don't care if I'm not someone's dream girl, my reasons for being married have nothing to do with that, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. That being said, I really don't think you want to be the job girl. So let's talk about this. There are 2 reasons why a man gets married. Reason 1 is that it's time. And reason 2 is that he is in love with you. Now, reason 1 is time. This means that the man is getting married to the woman who is there when he is ready to get married. He is marrying the woman who he's reached a certain age. He feels like he should get married. His homeboys are getting married. He's surrounded by people who are telling him it's time for him to grow up and take the next step in his life. And he has met a woman who is good enough on paper, right? So she's pretty enough, even if not necessarily his type. She is smart, or she's hardworking, or there's some quality about her that makes her a good enough wife. Maybe she cooks well, cleans well, things like that. And he has decided that this is probably the best he can do. This is the right time for marriage. Therefore, she will do. And when I say this is the right time for marriage, I'm even using marriage loosely, because sometimes it is an actual marriage. Sometimes it is the situation that I described in the beginning, where someone will stay in a relationship with you, live with you, have kids with you, whatever, forever. They'll do it indefinitely, even if they never have any intention of marrying you. This is another thing that I talk to my clients about, that I definitely believe that before you get married, you should know someone in all seasons. And I mean that figuratively. You should know them in all moods. You should see them when they are incredibly happy, when they are sad, when they are angry. You should know how they handle all those emotions. And literally in all seasons, like you should know them for a year before you get married, at least a year. That being said, men don't need that long to know that you are the dream girl. You are the girl that they want to be with. And if a man is dragging his feet on marriage, you're not the dream girl, point blank, period. Because if a man is truly in love with you and he thinks that you're the one, he is going to do what it takes to take you off the market as quickly as possible. So back to this idea of the job girl, the girl that some men settle for. You will know that you are the job girl because your utility is so apparent. So these are the men who will go out of their way to insist on being 50-50 in the relationship, down to the last dime, and will keep tabs, will hold you accountable to making sure that everything is split. And before someone comes at me, I'm going to get more into this when I talk about the dream girl and what the difference is. You know, you can make all the excuses you want about it being a tough economy. I'm from the U.S. The United States has dealt with tough economies plenty of times. I'm from the U.S. and I'm a millennial. So I know tough times and inflation and stock market crashes and all of that. I am very familiar with bad economies because they have defined my teenage years and adulthood. I know recessions fairly well. And I also know that even in recessions, there are men who take care of their wives. There are men who will get a second or third job if need be. So when you have someone who immediately comes at you with that excuse and won't let go of it, then they see you as a utility. And women are always a resource. Like, don't get that twisted. Because our feminine energy just brings so much to our partnerships with men. And of course, I'm speaking about heterosexual relationships here, but because of the contributions of our feminine energy, our presence, our spirit, just the way that we are naturally nurturing, the creativity that we possess, our discernment, our intuition, just being around us is a benefit. But beyond that, when you are the job girl, if you listen to the man that you're with, he will make it clear what job it is that you fulfill in the relationship. He will make it clear that he wants constant sex. He expects a lot of it. He expects it consistently because that is why he is with you, for sex on demand. Or he will make it clear that you are the maid, that you're supposed to cook, that you're supposed to clean, you're supposed to keep everything tidy and organized for him. Or he will make it clear that you are a wallet. He could not afford to live by himself. He could not afford a certain type of lifestyle on his own. But when the two of you combine incomes, then it's almost like he hit a jackpot and he became richer. If you don't believe me and you suspect that you are a job girl, whatever your job is, try not doing it for a little bit and see what happens. You know, if you are the chef and maid, try going a few days of ordering Uber Eats every day and see what the reaction is that you get. Try going on a sex strike and see what the reaction is that you get. Try saying that you have some personal expenses that you need to take care of and that you can't cover your half of the rent that month, and see what the response is. And if you are with someone who hits the roof, who gets mad, who starts calling you names, any of that stuff, you are a job girl. The other thing is, if you are a job girl, he does not need to put a lot of time, effort, investment into you. If you are the dream girl, then this person, back to this whole idea of men who are in love don't need a long time to decide whether or not they want to marry you because they feel the need to lock you down. If you are the job girl, then there's not as much pressure because, frankly, although he doesn't want to be lonely, or although he needs help with bills, or although he wants consistent sex, there are other women who will give those things. So if you don't, it will be a disappointment because it means that he has to go back to the drawing board and find it again. But he also knows well and sure that he can find it again. Now, this is in contrast to the dream girl. When you are the dream girl, you are exactly what he wants in a woman. You are everything that he imagined. You are his ideal match. And when that is the case, a man shows it. So, you know the saying, actions speak louder than words. I never want you to dismiss words, because if you're willing to sit back and listen, if you're willing to talk a little bit less, people will always eventually end up telling you their true intentions. It's just a matter of being patient, right? But at the same time, actions do matter a little bit more. So when you are the dream girl, again, commitment comes quickly. When you are the dream girl, a man happily provides. And this is where I want to get back to what I mentioned in the discussion about being 50-50 when we were talking about the job girl. So I know some of you listen to people like Shira 7 or Universe Guru or any of those, and you think man being a provider means that he is billionaire status and he pays for everything and he also flies you out all over the world to Europe and all of that good stuff. If you get that, God bless you. I'm happy for you. Love that for you, right? But first of all, there's more ways to provide than money. There's also providing physical safety, knowing that he will protect you. There's providing emotional safety, knowing that he is a safe space for you to come to, for you to talk to, for you to tell your problems to without judgment or without those things being used against you later on. So there's more than one kind of safety. And when you are a man's dream girl, he will provide in every way he can to the best that he can. So that means that he works hard to improve his communication skills so that he can talk to you better. It means that he does his best to hold that safe space for you. It means that he considers you when he does other things when you're not around. This could be as simple as knowing what your favorite snacks are, and when he makes a stop at the gas station, being sure to grab something for you. It means having your physical safety in mind. And these are the things that some of you would call chivalry in old school. But, there's a reason why, for example, men are supposed to walk on the outside of the sidewalk and women on the inside, because throughout history, drivers have been crazy, right? And if someone jumps a curb, then it is the man taking the line of fire. When you are in a relationship with someone who doesn't think about things like that, who will just happen to end up on the inside, leaving you on the outside, or who does things like, for example, when I go to restaurants with my husband, when we sit, is usually the one who faces closer to the door. And that's because if something goes down, he wants to be able to see it and be the one to protect me. It's not something I really thought of before, but, it makes sense. So when you have someone who truly loves you, cares about you, who you are his dream girl, he does those little things to increase your physical safety. Now, when it comes to the money, if a man sees you as his dream girl, he will work. He will work to provide for you and your family unit, whether that is the two of you are child free and the family unit is the two of you, or whether you have 10, 12 kids, right? And he will do that to the best of his ability. So for some men, that means that you live a modest lifestyle and he pays the majority of the bills. Like he pays, say, mortgage or rent to keep a roof over your head. And maybe you do end up paying something like a cable bill or a light bill or something like that, but he covers more. But, and yeah, it could be a case where you end up, traditional stay-at-home wife and you don't work and you have someone who covers everything so that you have no bills. And yes, it could go more extravagant than that, where you have someone who covers all the needs and all the wants and you have, a luxurious lifestyle. But the point is you have a partner who's willing to make sacrifices for the sake of your comfort and who also takes that role as being a provider very seriously. As opposed to when you have someone who is the job girl, you are a resource, you are a tool, you are a utility. So yes, he may, pay some bills and all of that, but he still is also counting your money too. I've seen relationships where technically the man pays the majority of the bills, but he is with a woman who also makes good money and he sees that as an opportunity to increase his lifestyle. So she is paying for vacations that he wouldn't have been able to go on otherwise. She is paying for him to have certain toys, video games, consoles, all of that he wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. She is paying for like the nicer restaurants that he wouldn't be able to go to otherwise, or to boost the style of living. So by himself, he could have lived in a modest apartment, or he could have had roommates or whatever, and he could have taken care of all these things by himself. But as soon as she comes along, he upgrades his lifestyle with her money. Even though he may be taking care of the basics, right? He also will make darn sure that she is also contributing so that he can get better. And that is always a red flag, by the way, because when it comes to infidelity, oftentimes women who end up being with men who are already in relationships, who are already married, what have you, when they look at that man, they assume that everything the man has is on his own accord. So they assume that if he's driving a nice car, it could very well be your car and you're making all the payments on it. But they will assume that all of that came from him. So you sometimes will have men who use the women that they're with to upgrade their image, upgrade their perceived lifestyle so that they're more attractive to the women that they actually want. I don't say these things to alarm you. I really don't. Because there's a lot of fear mongering on social media, and we don't need any more of that. But the reason why I'm talking about being a job girl versus being a dream girl is, at the end of the day, most women want to be a dream girl. They want to be that woman who is with a man who is head over heels in love with her, who cherishes her, who makes her feel special, who makes her feel worthy. And if this is you, you need to understand what type of treatment you can expect when you are with someone who just sees you as a resource to be used versus when you are with someone who truly loves you and cherishes you and honors you. And if that is what you want, I don't believe that God is a tease. I believe that when he puts desires in our heart, he puts them in our heart for a reason. And that being the case, we shouldn't settle for anything that doesn't look like that. So let me know, have you ever been in a relationship where you were the job girl? And what did you do? Did you decide to stay in that relationship longer, or did you leave it and go on to find better? I am on social media at Keshia Rice, KESHIARICE. You can find me on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. So message me and let me know. I will talk to you later. Love you so much. Bye. Hey there. So you made it all the way to the end of the episode, which means I have two things to say. One, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And two, you like me. You really like me. So I would appreciate it if you would show that like by subscribing to this podcast so that more people can hear about it and enjoy it as much as you do. And if you want to know more about any of the links that I mentioned on this episode or any guests that I've had, be sure to go to KeshiaRice.com/links. That's KESHIARICE.com/links. I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode. So see you then.